Okay, give me 1 second here. I look crazy, but that's all right. Okay, assalamu alaikum, everyone, and thank you for being here today. We're gonna go ahead and jump right into it today. So, I want to say that I'm deeply grateful for you guys just connecting with me today. For an intimate and transformative discussion about fasting journey. And also want to let you guys know that whether you're here to enhance your spiritual connection through fasting with Allah, or you're just seeking a health transformation or preparing for the blessed month of Ramadan, today's session will equip you both with wisdom and spiritual insight that will elevate your fasting experience. So, um, heads up, I want to give you guys, if you're new to this whole Muslim thing, or we just released a like new guide for Muslims that you could find on our Islamic resource hub. And also, if this is going to be your first Ramadan, we also release a how to, or like a Ramadan guide for Muslims, which you could also find on our Islamic resource hub. But anyways, so before we begin, I want to invite you to take a deep breath. And as you breathe, set your intentions for what you hope to gain from today's session, today's live, or if you're listening to this later, today's video. Perhaps you're seeking solutions to specific challenges, or maybe you're just here to deepen your understanding of fasting, the transformative like power that you get through fasting. Whether you were brought here, um, whatever you're brought here, just know that you're exactly where you need to be. And I thank you for being here. And just a heads up, this is going to be a very in-depth live session. So it may be over 30 minutes. I know we normally try to hit 15 and I cut it off, but I can't make any promises to hit that 15-minute goal today. And that's only because we're going to make sure that we touch on everything fasting entails, or at least everything that I wish I knew. So we're going to be talking a little bit of science, because I'm a science girly. I love science, and I'm going to break it down for you guys to understand. I think this way it will just make it a lot easier for you guys too when it comes to like getting prep for your fast mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. But yeah, there's going to be different segments that we're going to talk about. The first segment that we're going to look at is the psychology of fasting. So, understanding the mind and the body connection. So, we're going to begin by exploring the fascinating relationship between our mind and our body that happens during fasting. And there's a few parts that we must understand when thinking about this. The first one is the neurological changes that happens when we're fasting. So, when you fast, your body shifts its focus from digesting the food to other processes like improving brain function. So, without food, your brain uses the stored energy that you have, like fat, more efficiently. This can lead to, like, people say they have better focus, sharper thinking, improved memory, and that's why there's a specific verse in the Quran that says we should fast, and because only if we knew how good it is for us, and over science, over time, we're able to figure out how good it is for us. So think of it as your brain cleaning up, right? And working its best when it's not distracted by food digestion. So this doesn't always happen for everyone. So if it's your first time fasted, I don't want to make you too excited. It might not be this easy, oh, my body's feeling good kind of experience, but after a while, you will quickly adapt. Um, the second topic on this specific topic is how fasting affects our neurotransmitters, or like our brain chemicals. So, fasting influences the brain chemicals like serotonin, or you could consider it like the happy chemical, right? So, it improves your mood and it helps you feel more calm, and it helps balance out like those happiness chemicals or just like your chemicals in total because it's doing a clean sweep, right? It's helping you stay focused and less stressed. Who would have thought, especially for a foodie, that not eating could decrease your stress? So the other thing that it does too is it has like a reward chemical almost, or AKA dopamine. So fasting can reset your dopamine levels, which make simple pleasures like breaking your fast something that you feel like it's a reward or something to like rejoice or be excited about. And the third thing is the metatabical like switch and mental performance. So when you're fasting, your body switches from burning sugar like glucose, for example, to burning fat for energy. And this is considered like the metopical switching. So during this process, your body produces fuels that your brain will use more efficiently, and it basically improves like your memory, your focus, and protects you from brain damage over time, which is why fasting is highly recommended. And it has a lot of great benefits, which is why the health freaks are always like raving about the benefits of fasting, because you could also shed pounds from it as well. And I hope I'm not losing all of you guys who are not into science, but I just think that this is really fascinating, right? Another science thing, and I'm gonna stop talking about science after this. I just want to get all the science thing out of the way, is the cellular like renewal that happens within the system. Remember, I told you before that it cleans up your system, right? Your brain. It also cleans up your body. It gets rid of like the damaged cells and replace them with new healthy ones. And this process is just it's not just good for your physical health. It also supports your brain by protecting it from diseases and keeping it sharp and ready by having these new cells. So when Allah prescribes for us something, um, you could always expect that it's going to be something that's good for us, because fasting isn't just a physical cleanse, right? It's a spiritual one. It's internal and external cleanse as well. Um, so I just want to go over those like scientific things because I think they're really important to know. And I want to shift focus now to like dive more onto like the psychological phases of fasting. So when your experience the okay, your experience while fasting can usually be divided into 3 stages, right? And it's important to know about all these 3 stages before you start fasting, because you need to know what you're gonna be faced up against or what the general expectations of fasting should be. Sometimes people just go into fasting and they're just gonna be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna be hungry and it's gonna be good." But it's more than that, right? There's 3 stages and it's broken up into hours. So the first one is the resistant phase, which is like the first to 1 to 6 hour if you like you fasting. This resistance phase is going to be the hardest part of you fasting for most people. And you'll have the hunger pains, you'll have restlessness, you'll be tempted to break your fast. This is where you really have to push through your strength. In this phase of your body, you're adjusting to the lack of food, the lack of water. And it's natural to like feel that craving because your brain is still looking for that quick energy that food provides, right? So you're this is what I'm here for, to help you understand how you can handle that phase 1, the first 1 to 6 hours of fasting. These are my suggestions for you, but if you guys have any better suggestions, please feel free to put them in the comments. The first one is to remind yourself that these feelings are temporary, just like how everything in your life that you go through, hardships, good and bad, they're temporary. Remind yourself that I only have to wait 6 hours and I'm good. When I was first fasting, I was literally celebrated. Like I broke myself into it little by little. Like first I started by doing 2 hours, and when I got to like 2 hours, like, "Ooh, I fasted for 2 hours." I went to 4, I was like, "Ooh, did that." So celebrate when you get to that 6-hour mark because you know that you went past the hard part now. You did it. You clap, clap, clap. And then the second thing is to keep yourself busy. And if you can focus on like positive distractions, like things that you like doing, maybe you like reading, maybe you enjoy your work, maybe you like praying, whatever it is that you like doing, try to focus on positive distractions. If you don't have positive distractions to focus on, then just keep yourself busy. When you keep yourself busy, the time will go by so fast that you won't even realize that you are hungry and all those other stuff. Obviously, in Ramadan, we're going to be trying to focus on more healthy distractions and more positive distractions that will be praising Allah. But if you're just fasting now or just fasting on Sunnah days, just keep yourself busy as you're trying to get into the habit of fasting. The second thing, no, third thing, I don't know, I lost track, is that you want to drink plenty of water before you fast. So I can't emphasize enough because drinking water and being hydrated before you start your fast will reduce the hunger pains that you feel, and it just makes your fasting experience so much better. The second phase, now that we finished the first one, is the acceptance phase. Kind of like we're going through like the phases of griefs almost, because the loss of food, right? So the second phase is the 7 to 12 hour mark of fasting, right? And that's when your body um, it starts to adjust to the initial hunger fades, right? You feel more focused, calmer, less distracted by food, and you might even begin to accept the rhythm of fasting. Your body adapts. So, how can you make the most of this phase two? The way that you can do that is you use this time to reflect on your intentions for fasting. Like, why are you really fasting? What's the purpose of this? What's the intention of fasting? You could practice gratitude by thinking about the blessings you usually take for granted, like food, water, the things that you're fasting from, to start. And you can engage in light activities that bring you peace, like journaling, maybe reciting the Quran, whatever it is that will be beneficial to you, but also praising Allah, because that's what we're fasting for if you're Muslim. If you're not, then whatever you want would be what you be taking part of during this time. And it's not often, but if your fast goes to this third phase, which is you're fasting 13 hours and above, like 12 plus hours, you pass the second stage. This is when the fasting starts to feel natural, right? You experience like mental clarity, spiritual upliftment, and you might even feel more connected to your faith and less focused on the physical needs of life, like food and water. Um, and how can you deepen this experience? You can deepen this experience by focusing on acts of worship, making more du'as, doing dhikr walks, and reading the Quran, praying more, even though, like, optional prayers. And you could just reflect on how fasting is teaching you patience and discipline, and just appreciate how your body feels lighter and just your mind is more clearer. That's what you could do. So those are the three phases that you'll probably experience if you are going to be doing Ramadan, or if you're just doing the Sunnah fasting, Mondays and Thursdays. Yes. And so the other thing I want to focus on is building mental resilience during fasting, because I think this is also equally important. So there's a few things we want to focus on when thinking about building mental resilience during fasting. The first one is developing a growth mindset for fasting challenges. So a growth mindset, like, it means seeing the challenges as an opportunity to grow stronger, which is something really difficult to do. So instead of thinking, I can't handle this hunger, or man, I'm so thirsty, I'm gonna die, you know, you could tell yourself, every hunger pain is making me more patient and disciplined, or this thirst is a small sacrifice for a bigger reward that I will get. Or you could do journaling. Journaling can help you reinforce the mindset of positivity when you help write down one lesson that you've learned from fasting every day, during Ramadan, or when you're fasting on Sunnah's days. That's something to think about. So another thing is realizing the discomfort versus the true difficulty. Okay. This is a hard one to come to the realization about, because discomfort is temporary. Like, feeling hunger for a short period of time, that's temporary. The true difficulty would be if fasting endangered your life, which rarely happens if you're well prepared, and that's what we're trying to get ready for. And remember, if you are not like in good health, you should not be fasting and you're exempt from fasting. So don't even worry about it. Um, but when you feel discomfort, remind yourself this is hard, but it's not harmful. I can get through this. Like I'm actually doing better for my body, my soul, my entire being by pushing through this hard time. The third thing, and I have four things in total, is positive association with hunger. So instead of seeing hunger as a problem, which is easy to do when you start fasting, or even if you've been fasting for years, you can still see hunger as a problem sometimes, but you have to view it as a reminder of the purpose of fasting. Hunger can teach you the empathy for those who are going without food every day. Like imagine right now in this cold season, where it's snowing and people are in their tents living outside and they're hungry on top of that. If you remember these things while you're fasting, it will allow you to really about think of breaking your fast as a moment of immense gratitude, like how wonderful even a sip of water feels. We take water for granted every day. I don't know, water after you break your fast hits different, it slaps. And then the fourth and last thing is mindful techniques for fasting, right? So I would definitely recommend practicing deep breaths when your hunger strikes, like inhale slowly, hold it for a few seconds, and then exhale, because this will calm your mind and just recenter you and just reduce the stress that you're feeling from being hungry. And the next thing I would say would be to like focus on the present moment. For example, if you're feeling hungry, acknowledge that you're hungry, but without judgment. You're like, yeah, I feel hungry, but it's okay because I'm gonna get through this. This is all part of the process, and repeat a simple dhikr to get you back after you finish that breath, like Alhamdulillah, to keep your mind centered on gratitude rather than discomfort. Refocus your mind on Allah. That will help you. So, by understanding these concepts and practicing these strategies, you're not only going to overcome fasting challenges, but you're also going to be able to grow spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. And you're going to be getting benefit from it physically as well. So, the second segment that I want to look into is mastering the physical challenges, right? We really spoke about like body and mind influences of fasting. So let me create a comprehensive approach to maintaining energy levels while you're fasting, right? You have to, when you're fasting, you need to create like a strategic meal plan. So the pre-dawn meal before you start your fast, right? You want it to be something protein rich, like eggs, yogurt, Greek yogurt, you know, what is it again? Like like those high protein grains. Like if you're gonna eat carbohydrates, like do like oats, whole grain. If you're gonna do fast, do like avocado, nuts, olive oil, and then when you're breaking your fast, to a big recommendation that I have when breaking your fast is to break your fast the prophetic method of breaking your fast with dates, and it's gonna be able to help. Also, I would say like with tea, because you get something hot in your stomach and you don't try to just rush into a full course meal. You're going to take like your tea and your dates or something small, and then a little bit later on, like maybe after maybe Isha, you could like have an actual meal, so that you're not overwhelming your digestion system because you went all day without eating. So try to get foods that is like nutritious. Don't be eating no chips right when you break your fast now. Don't do that. You're gonna mess yourself up. And remember portion controls while maintaining nutrition adequacy. Ugh. Um, because you were fasting, might be like, oh man, I want to eat like 10 plates of food. No, we're practicing mindful eating and remembering that sometimes it's good not to fill your belly. Don't allow your nafs to control you. So just remember, like when you break your fast, that don't mean that your belly have to bust. Okay, you could just make sure that you ate your fill, but you don't need to bust your belly. Okay, because you might end up getting a stomach ache because of that, and it goes send you to the bathroom. Um, Another thing that I want to mention is Identifying and planning around like personal energy peaks, like when you get into fasting for a while, you're going to realize, okay, I know this type part of the fasting, I'm doing my best. So you want to plan for things to be during that time. You want to do micro breaks scheduling throughout the day. So like physical environments optimized for energy conservation. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to basically use the time that you know you're going to have the most energy to do the most important things. That's what I do because I think that works best. Um, Another thing too would be sleep optimization. So creating an ideal sleep environment during fasting. So maybe you're gonna do naps for 10 to 20 minutes. Listen to your body. If you need to sleep and you have the ability to and you can, then sleep. It's okay. Just don't slumber. Don't hibernate. You don't want to sleep through your fast. It's okay to take a nap, but don't hibernate through your fast, okay? And these techniques of like sleeping will help you get quality rest despite like, not being able to eat or changing your eating patterns while you're fasting. And then the other one is to think about like the hunger management. So you want to transform your relationship with hunger through doing things like understanding your hunger is like hormone cycles during your fasting, identifying true hunger versus habitual eating. Like you might feel like, oh, I'm hungry, but is it that you're really hungry or is it that you know that you normally eat lunch by that time? Which one is it? You should know, right? You want to have practical techniques for hunger wave management and strategic fluid intake protocols between fasting windows. So, like I said, I can't emphasize enough drinking a lot of water before you start your fast and when you break your fast so that you are well hydrated. Okay. So those are the things that you have to really remember. And you also want to build a positive relationship with hunger. Hunger should not be a negative thing. And you want to basically make sure that you're emotionally regulating yourself during fasting and you're being mindful. You're practicing a lot of mindful techniques when it comes to your hunger management while you're fasting and when you break your fast, because that hunger, when you break your fast, you might overeat and you don't want to overeat when you break your fast. Okay. So that's what you should remember. And then another thing we want to think about is the spiritual and mental strategies that you can do. Creating a sacred space is, if you have the ability to, excuse me, because sometimes you're might be in a really tight place and you're not able to create a space that is spiritual or sacred, right? And that's okay. You can develop physical and mental sanctuaries, like design a dedicated like prayer and reflection space. Maybe you only have a room, that's okay. Find a corner in your room and make that corner your prayer space. you know Creating a temporary sacred moment throughout the day, like doing a lot of reflections, thinking of Allah, and just establishing rituals, like ritual practices that will anchor you like throughout your fast, and just practicing constant mindfulness like in your routines in your day. You're just constantly in the presence of Allah, or if you're not Muslim, you're just constantly in the presence of bettering yourself. But yeah, so another thing would be like, what I would find really useful is to have a community and like some people to support you, right? Because it's hard to do everything by yourself, especially when you're fasting. So strengthen your fasting journey through community. You could join us on Discord. You could join me here on what is this thing called, YouTube. And you could get friends like at your local masjid, but like building a support network of fasting companions, and creating accountability partners. If you want an accountability partner, we do them here at Wali. You can sign up for one to become one and get an accountability partner, and organize virtual or physical facing circles where you're sharing your experiences and you have solutions with the community. So if you're going through this hunger, you're like, no, like, oh, I'm not the only one that's hungry. I got someone that's hungry with me. It sounds really silly, but it goes a long way because, if they could do it, you could do it. And if they didn't do it, you could pull through for them. Having that community support and people to cheer you on as you're going through your fasting day can really like make a difference sometimes. Um, the other thing too is to elevate the spiritual dimensions of your fast. So, like I said, throughout your fast, remembrance of Allah, practicing that throughout the day, developing a structural like Quran reading program. Maybe you want to spend 30 minutes a day reading the Quran during your fasting. Maybe you want to do 3 pages a day, whatever that is for you, create that to do during your fasting season. Whether that be during Sunnah fasting or whether that be during Ramadan. Understanding and implementing prophetic fasting techniques or adequacies and maintaining spiritual focus during challenging moments of your fasting. It's really important. Um, and another thing I want to talk about is personalized fasting protocol development. So you want to create your customized fasting success strategies. So you want to think about what your morning protocol is going to look like pre-dawn protocol, what your daytime management is going to look like, and what your evening optimization is going to look like. So maybe the morning protocol will be pre-dawn, routine optimization, spiritual practice integration, physical preparation and techniques, and mental state settings, practices. Like, I'm saying a whole bunch of stuff, but let me break it down for you. Maybe before you start your fast, you want to make sure that you have your food prep. You want to make sure that you went to the gym if you're a person that works out. You want to make sure that you set your intentions for the day. You need to know what you're going to be doing at each section of the day and have that like already set up so that you're not doing too much during your fasting. It's a smooth sailing process. You understand? So that you can have a life work balance in another case. Um, and, you know, I would highly recommend, personally, me, I love journaling. So I feel like when you're fasting, you should create a comprehensive fasting journal. It's so good to have a journal when you're fasting because you could do daily reflections where you do physical wellness check-ins. You could do spiritual growth tracking. You could do mental resilience building. So, for example, in the physical wellness check-in, you could track your energy levels throughout the day, your hunger management, and practicing that positive relationship with hunger that I spoke about earlier. The physical challenges that you're having, just checking in with yourself, because fasting is about building yourself as well on this journey. Or maybe you want to focus on the spiritual growth tracking. So, worship quality assessment, maybe you could give yourself, or maybe a gratitude observation that you could give yourself. Stuff like that you could focus on. When we're going to be starting Ramadan, I will be having like journal entries for Ramadan that you guys can do. If you didn't sign up for my newsletter already, it's in my bio. You can sign up for it there. And I also have a lot of journal entries that you could reflect on throughout the week. That's also on my newsletter now that you guys can sign up for. That's weekly on Fridays. And these will give you the journal entry that you need if you are interested in journal entries. But some key takeaways that I want to give you guys, and wow, look at that. Look at the time. But some key takeaways and some implementation that I want you guys to take from everything is I want you guys to solidify our learning throughout actionable steps. So I have 2 big steps for you guys. So the first one is immediate implementation of these steps, right? So if you're going to try to fast on Sunnah days, this is what you can do. Or if you're just going to take a random day and try fasting to prep for Ramadan, if that's what you want to do, then great. Or if you're just going to use this for when Ramadan starts, then great. Or if you're just fasting just to fast, then great. But the first thing you want to do is 3 key practices to start tomorrow. Weekly goal setting. So you want to know, okay, this week I'm going to fast on Sunnah days. Monthly progress tracking. Maybe you want to say, I want to fast, I don't know, 8 days out of the month. You could track that progress, And I would definitely say to like treat yourself if you meet that goal, like that monthly goal, um, to something that you want, something small, something big. It depends on how you want to treat yourself. But this would be a good way to get into fasting from now before Ramadan starts, so that when Ramadan starts, you'll be able to become a pro faster and it'll be easy to you so that you could focus more on the spiritual gain that comes with Ramadan and you're not focusing on the hunger and the pain that comes through fasting, you know? And then long term integration strategies could be building sustainable fasting habits, like I mentioned here earlier, or creating lasting lifestyle changes, where your whole life can change to be reflective of a more Islamic practice or a more healthy practice if you're not Muslim and you're just fasting to fast. Or you're developing ongoing support systems. So maybe you find a friend that you commit to fasting with at least once a month together, then you'll be continuing, you know, that ongoing support system with them, and you'll be able to maintain like that motivation and like momentum through these practices. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have any questions. Feel free to put them in the chat. I'm happy to answer any questions about fasting. I have been fasting even before I became Muslim. I've been fasting. I think I started fasting when I was 10 years old. So I'm not gonna say that I'm a pro at fasting, but I have it down on pack. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. And for those who aren't watching this live, still feel free to ask in the comments and I'll be happy to answer. I'll give it a few minutes. I'll give it until the 7:01 mark. If anyone has any questions, I'd love to address any questions you guys have about fasting, or if you want to just share your experience about fasting. If not, then I'll just close this up here. But I'll just give it 2 minutes. Mm-mm. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? And if you haven't already, while we wait for any questions, if there are any questions, then please feel free to like and subscribe. And thank you so much for being here. When you're waiting in awkward silence, time goes so slow. Hmm. Mm, 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 mm. Okay, 1 more minute for anyone. If anyone has any questions, 1 more minute. Mm, mm, mm. You could share any key tips that you have for someone new that might be fasting for the first time, or maybe you have a question because you're fasting for the first time. Whatever you got, I'm here to hear it. I'm here to answer your questions. Okay, so no one's asked anything, and I think I waited long enough. I waited a minute, so I'm gonna go ahead to closing up. So we spoke about a lot today. We spoke about the science behind fasting. We spoke about how it affects your body, your mind, your soul. We spoke about tips on how to get over the hunger pains. We spoke about a lot of things. There might be some things that I forgot. If I did ask about it, I'll happy to discuss it in a part two or just discuss it in the chat with you guys. But thank you guys for being here. I want to do a quick prayer with you guys, and then I'll let you guys go. So, okay. So, oh Allah, I pray for strength, wisdom, success in our fasting journey. Oh, please protect us in our fasting journey and allow us to be able to grow closer to you, or fasting to be easy so that we can focus on you and not focus on the hunger or the thirst that we feel. Allow this video to be useful to someone in learning about fasting and being able to be successful in their next fasting attempts, and that we build a non judgmental and supportive Muslim community that helps others grow, think, and become the best version of themselves that you deem fit. In your glorious and holy name, we pray. Amen. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. Remember, if you guys haven't already, check out our Islamic Hub to see the comprehensive fasting Ramadan guide and our new revert guide. And if you want to be a part of an online supportive community, then feel free to join our Discord. But I'm super excited for you guys to check out the Ramadan guide. I spent quite some time working on that. So I hope that you guys find it useful. And thank you guys for being here. Assalamu alaikum. Bye.